Hi folks, I've got some new 3-rail O-scale arrivals from Atlas, and Chessie's really excited to check them out today on Eric's Trains. Alright, so for today's unboxing we'll be using my Victorinox Hunter Pro. Pretty cool knife. So we've got 5 pieces of rolling stock that all go together. What could they be? Well, of course, I know what they are. I saw the packing slip, but I'll let it be a surprise for you guys. Although I'm sure you can probably guess. Seems every time I do an unboxing video, somebody freaks out about me pulling the knife toward me when I open the box, when I cut the box open. Now, it's kind of hard to go away from me, especially when you've got a camera behind you. It's kind of awkward to do that. But what I'll say is this, folks. When you're unboxing something, cutting a box open, you're not applying a lot of force with the knife. And if I'm cutting open a box and applying enough force in this direction to injure me, then the problem is how I'm unboxing it, not with the direction I'm cutting with. You're using a very little amount of force. It's not like you're, butchering a chicken or something like that. So it's all about context. Anyway, let's see what we got. I got a bunch of packing peanuts, that's for sure. So we've got some Trainman passenger cars, and these are the Monon passenger cars. Don't they look beautiful? Even in the box, they're pretty. So we've got a 60-foot baggage car here, and then the other 4 cars obviously go with this one. So we'll go ahead and get those out of the box as well. Okay, I'm cutting away. Now I'm cutting towards, but you see I'm not using a lot of force. And if it was to slip that way, there's not a lot of force behind it. Now, if I was butchering a chicken or stabbing somebody in self-defense, well, that would be different. There'd be a lot of force behind it. But in this case, there's not a lot of danger. And to date, I've never cut myself seriously opening a box, other than just a paper cut or something like that. Why didn't I listen? Why? Why? Alright, so here we've got a combine car. Then we've got an RPO car. An upside down RPO car. There it is. Then we've got a coach car, 60-foot coach car. And finally, a 60-foot observation car. Alright, so let's get these out of their boxes. This one seems to want to volunteer to be first. So this is the RPO car. Railway Post Office car, in case you don't know. There it is. Looks really nice. Alright, here's the combine car. These Trainman passenger cars are beautifully done. Here's the baggage car. And there's the coach car. These Trainman cars don't come with passengers inside, but they are very easy to add, and that's exactly what I'll be doing at some point. And lastly, the observation car. And there it is. Alright, so each car here has a soft rubber diaphragm on each end, except for the observation car, of course, which has only one. And out of the box, they have the short diaphragms installed, and these allow these cars to run on 036 curves, which is great if you have a small layout with tight curves. However, the price you pay is that, as you can see, there's a big gap between the diaphragms. If you plan to run these cars on 072 curves or wider, they supply some alternate diaphragms in the box, and these are longer, and that will close the gap and look much more realistic. But of course, you have to run them on 072 curves or wider. Now, in order to install the alternate diaphragms, you have to open the car. That's what the instructions say. So what we'll do is open up one of these cars and install the alternate diaphragms, and while we're at it, we'll add some passengers to one of these cars as well. All right, so we'll take our combine car and turn it over. And we've got 5 screws to remove. There's 2 on each end and then 1 in the middle. So with those screws removed, we should be able to open up the car. And what's nice is they've got all the lights included in the bottom part of the car, so you don't have to disconnect any wires. You just pop it off like that. So we'll set that aside for a moment. Here's the shell. Here's those short diaphragms, so go ahead and gently remove them. And the reason you have to open the car to do it right is because the diaphragms have these tabs on them that poke through the other side and hold it in place. So if you try to do it without removing the shell, it would be a little more difficult. Alright, so we removed those, and now here's the longer diaphragms, and we'll just pop them in there. Okay, I've got some flat pliers here, and I'm not sure if you can see this, but the tabs are poking through, and so I'm just going to grab them and just gently pull through until it locks in place. See if I can get a good angle in there so you can see that. And we'll just do that for all 4 tabs. And you want to be gentle because you don't want to tear the rubber. There we go. Alright, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but I pulled all 4 tabs through, so now it's nice and secure. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. And there we go. So now we have the longer diaphragms on each end of the combine car. I'll do the other cars as well. So with this out of the way, now we can turn our attention to adding some passengers to the combine car. Alright, so I've got my passengers. In this case, I'm using Golden Gate Depot's Little People. And I've got some CA glue and some fixer. And I've got a pair of scissors just in case I need to cut the legs off any of the figures to make them fit in the seats. So we'll grab our first figure here, and it'll go right there. Put a little CA glue on her butt. And sit her down in the chair, and then hit it with some fixer. And in case you don't know, the fixer spray, when you have CA glue, it's like super glue, and the fixer makes it set instantly. So you set the figure where you want it, and then you hit it with the fixer, and it's good to go. This guy doesn't want to fit too well. He's got his legs crossed, so what I'll do is just cut off his legs, like so. And then get some CA glue and put them right there. And you just keep on going. Sometimes you have to mangle the figures a little bit to get them in seats, chopping off legs and arms and butts and so forth. Just depends on the figure that you're using and the seat configuration of the car. But nobody's ever going to notice that this guy doesn't have any legs. And I like to fill my cars to about 80% capacity. And then I've also got some cheaper figures that I ordered on eBay that come from China, and I'll get maybe 1 or 2 standing figures and put those in the car as well. And you can get these on eBay. Just look for O-scale figures, and they're pretty inexpensive. You do have to wait for a while usually because they come all the way from China, but all right, that looks pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and reassemble our car. All right, and there we go. So that whole process of adding the longer diaphragms and adding the passengers took about 15-20 minutes, no big deal. All right, so with the extended diaphragms now installed, you can see what a difference that makes. They actually touch each other and there's no gap at all between the cars. Pretty cool. So moving on, the length of each of these cars is just over 15 inches. The weight of each car is right around 1 pound 10 ounces, give or take an ounce or two depending on the type of car. These cars have all the features you'd expect on O-scale passenger cars of this nature: die-cast metal sprung trucks and couplers, all LED lighting, including LED lighting on the drum head at the end of the observation car, which is very cool. And then they've got add-on metal grab irons and handrails and so forth. They're very nicely done, especially when you consider that this is the Trainman product line, which is intended to be Atlas's more budget-friendly product line when compared to the more high-end, more expensive Master Series product line. So yeah, these are great cars at a very fair price. At your typical Atlas dealer, you'll pay around $100 per car, give or take a few dollars depending on what dealer you're working with. All right, I've got our passenger cars coupled up behind this Lionel Pilot Mikado. It's been a while since I've run this engine on the layout, and so I figured I'd give it a little exercise with a few laps around the layout. Now I should tell you that although I initially installed the longer diaphragms on all my cars, I actually had to go back and reinstall the shorter diaphragms. I'm running these on 072 curves, and even with 072, I noticed that on occasion the longer diaphragms were rubbing up against each other and causing the cars to derail. So even though Atlas says you can use the longer diaphragms on 072, I would actually recommend 081 or wider. Anything less than 081, and I would just do yourself a favor and use these shorter diaphragms. Anyway, I'm going to run these cars around the layout for a few minutes and then call it a day. If you'd like to support Eric's Trains, I would greatly appreciate it. That can be done through Patreon at www.patreon.com/ericstrains. I'd like to put a big thank you out there to all of my current Patreon supporters. Your support means the world, not only to me, but to the future of this channel. And finally, if you'd like to buy an Eric's Trains t-shirt or anything else I might be selling, check out the Eric's Trains online store at www.ericstrains.com/store. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel. Enjoy the ride, and I'll see you next time. Alright, so for today's unboxing, we'll be using my knife that won't open right.